Last night, Tiffany, you and I were both up late, and you tweeted out, you said, there are two things that investors should be focused on right now. What are those two things?
First of all, Brian, it's good to be back, and I don't know how you stay up so late and get up so early. Yeah, I do believe stocks are higher, and you mentioned it at the top of the show. It's getting harder and harder to watch markets these days, especially what's been going on in the past 2 days. We have so many different factors: Delta, the Fed, inflation, supply chain. And so I think that we have to recognize that a lot of these things are temporary, right? And so investors, kind of sitting at home watching all this and probably cringing, really need to be thinking about these two things, right? So the first thing is having a strategy. And it does not sound really exciting, right? When we're always on CNBC talking about these, really great names that are moving so fast and so far. But really, having a disciplined investment strategy is really, really important, right? So it helps you to make decisions about your portfolio in times like this. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, the first thing in the strategy is to have a strategy. Then asset allocation, it's kind of like Series 7 101 for investment professionals. Asset allocation contributes a bulk of the return of the portfolio. So it's very, very important getting that right mix of stocks and bonds and different asset classes, style and growth and things like that. Then also diversification. Of course, diversification of your portfolio can really reduce the risk in your portfolio. And then really thinking about time horizon. The longer the time horizon you have, more months, more years actually to recover and recoup those losses. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is really thinking about themes, right? And so, I like to kind of classify things in themes so I can really wrap my head around what's going on in the markets and really what I want to buy. So in terms of buying individual stocks, so this is the more exciting stuff, right? So I'm thinking about companies that can do well in both reopen mode and stay-at-home environment. I'm calling these like the hybrid trade, right? So, later with the stay-at-home versus reopen trade, this is the hybrid trade. And really, I put Disney in this category, right? So, their Disney Plus business is growing like a small cap company, right? So it really doesn't matter what environment we're in. Disney's going to really do well between Parks and Disney Plus. And then, of course, names that are expected to grow faster than the index. And I put Chipotle in that category, Brian. It's expected to grow 138% for this year. So there we go.
Well,
Strategy
listen, Tiffany, first
themes.
off, I love you getting up early as well. And I love the optimism, because it is important to remember that as bad as the headlines are with COVID and Delta and whatever the next variant or the next variant after that is, this will be over at some point. So I love that macro optimism. And it sounds like you believe that even with concerns over, quote, reopening, Disney is a long-term hold. Because, there's more negative headlines to come as the fall comes, back to school, and maybe another surge, maybe the final surge, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully it is the final surge, but the good news is that we've done this before. Businesses know how to operate in this kind of like lockdown environment, and of course, this kind of, reopen environment and everything in between. So, we've been here before. We hope that this bump is not as big as the bump last year. This too is going to pass.
Yeah, we need to hear that. Because, and also not just from a human perspective, an emotional perspective, but an investing perspective, there will be a time when this is certainly behind us. Also, I just want to refresh, because you kind of threw it in there toward the end, and I might have stepped on you. I apologize, Tiffany. Chipotle, another name that you like.
Yes. Yeah, Chipotle. When I think about how Chipotle was really able to pivot in the beginning of the pandemic, they had this robust loyalty program. Customers are ordering from their cell phones. In Chipotle reported in the second quarter a spike in earnings growth of 1,765%. That is crazy. And the expectation is that for the entire year, it's estimated to grow about 138%. So really kind of picking those names that are expected to grow faster than the index.